So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiancé UK. I'm Mr. O, and today, Ms. H and I will be discussing Season 7, Episode 1 of Before the 90 Days. In this episode, we meet 4 new couples. Rayne, who has a thing for chickens and aliens, and hopes to convince her blind boyfriend Chidi to love both. Brian, the wheelchair rugby player with a lot of failed relationships. Loren, who's basically homeless and looking for a very specific romantic situation. And Tigerlily, the rich divorcee trying to get out of a man's control by marrying into a devout Muslim family. We'll be back again next week to talk about Episode 2, and we're also back on our other channel, Love After Lockup UK, covering the new season of Love After Lockup. Alright, thanks for listening, stay safe, and enjoy!
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, we got a new season of this show, so that is always enthusiastic. When like all bright lights and optimism from a good show of people I don't know and don't already hate.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like some of these people you're going to hate.
Oh, I'm going to hate
rather
very quickly. Rather quickly, yes. Based on
rather quickly
what we saw today and what we saw in some of the previews, I think yes, there's some eminently hateable people that come up on this show.
Yeah, and why don't we get started with the one that I don't even know if it's hateable so much as just I out the gate said I don't think we've had a dumber cast member.
Yeah. So let's start with Tigerlily. So, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that's not her real name. Like that's what she puts off on the show.
Well, that's not what makes her dumb, but
no, for certain not. We meet Tigerlily, and she's 41 and is from Frisco, Texas, and she's getting out of her car, and the first thing we see of her is a super tacky purse that's like shaped like dollar bills.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, we're getting started great. So she's in a jewelry store and says she has expensive tastes, but only when it comes to health conscious things like sunglasses and shoes and cars. And when they showed the shoes, they made sure they showed us like a black and white picture of her in shoes, but the red bottoms were still in color.
No, of course.
So she's shopping for a watch, and she ends up just like buying a $27,000 watch just on site. Like he's like, we don't have these here. Here's a picture of it. She's like, I'll take it. It's like, okay. Yeah. So she admits that she has privilege, but that she walked through fire to get here, according to her. So she says that when she was 30, she got basically knocked up by a rich dude, and so they got married, and he kept her in what she refers to as a golden bird cage. So she said she stayed married for the kids, but couldn't keep doing it. She said he was way too controlling, made sure she couldn't have any friends, just all that kind of stuff. And she filed for a divorce that, not surprisingly, turned into like a 4-year fight ordeal. But at the end of it, seems like she got a pretty good alimony case because she says she's well taken care of. So she's ready to move on. And that's where Adnan comes in. So Adnan is 22 and he's from Jordan. So he slid into her DMs. I don't know how. It was social media things. She slid into his DMs because he's hot and a model. Before long, they were video chatting all the time. So they've been talking for 4 months at this point. And she says this is already says this is the best relationship I've ever had. We also get that Tigerlily is I'm going to put this in quotes, certified handwriting expert.
Oh, gosh.
And she takes a look at Adnan's handwriting on camera. So she says you can tell a lot from people's handwriting. She can tell that he's optimistic and he has high self-esteem. And she says that you can tell about, how they are in the bedroom, but she does not say what his handwriting says about that. So, and she's like, but that's because he didn't write his Y in cursive. He wrote a Y in print. So I can't tell you. So anyway, she's going to go to Jordan for a week and is planning on marrying him as soon as she gets there. Like, get off the plane, go to marriage. So we learn that we learn about that when she meets her life coach, Stephanie. So Stephanie's response to her saying that is just like blinking and be like, what? Why? So Tigerlily says, well, I know we want to be together, and if we know that already, there's no reason to wait. And Steph is like, maybe try it out for a bit, see what it's like being with him or being near him. But there's more to it than that, because Adnan is a strict Muslim and told them that they can't even be in a room together alone unless they're married. So that's what they're going to do. So Steph asks about the money. She's like, well, you have your money stuff, and what are his finances? And she's just like, I don't know. She's like, well, how much does he make? She was like, I don't know. She's like, did you talk about finances? And this is another quote. Why would we do that? That's just weird.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Woo. So she thinks he'll want to work. He wants to work. So why do we have to worry about it? So in interviews, Steph thinks this whole thing sounds suspicious, and maybe he's just in it for the money and the green card. So Tigerlily thinks herself a good judge of character and knows that she can trust this guy.
Oh, God, no.
So she thinks that she finally now has unconditional love. Although I feel like we just heard like 3 conditions on the love already.
Right.
So Steph is rooting for her. Hopes she does well, but wow. So now we've established that Tigerlily's getting married soon, we get to see her bachelorette party. So she says that because her ex was super controlling, she wasn't able to be social or have friends while they were married. So now her service employers, like her lash girl, her injector, she has a dedicated injector.
Right.
And,
makes sense.
And her life coach, they're her closest friends. So the party starts off with like belly dancing for her. And then we learn that 2 of these employees, there's no other word for it, 2 of her employees are going to be coming to Jordan with her, both her hairstylist and her esthetician. So they kind of are like, this is wild. I'll take a free trip to Jordan, but this seems wild. And she's doing everything backwards. So she says that there's going to be like 200 people at the wedding, but all 198 of them are going to be on his side.
Gosh.
They're going to be legally married on day 1, but then on day 3 have this huge, big traditional wedding. So she has had virtually no say in the wedding planning, and also says that it feels good to be out of a controlling relationship.
Oh, gosh.
Literally after she says, I have not been allowed to help plan my wedding, but it feels good to not be controlled.
Oh, my goodness.
So then they start with giving her gifts. There's like sexy underwear and such. And they ask him, well, if he's a devout Muslim, is he a virgin? And she's like, oh. And she's like, why would I worry about that? So she's not worried about the compatibility in the bedroom because I guess I don't know why, because she's like, well, I had 10 years of bad sex. I had 10 years of bad sex with a guy I didn't like. So this will be filet mignon. And it's like, that's okay.
Okay. Weird logic.
She thinks he probably hasn't had sex before, but isn't sure. So we also have like a little bit of talk about him telling her what she can and can't wear. And Steph, the life coach, tries to like gently get her to come to see that like, this sounds pretty controlling. Tigerlily. Tigerlily said it's the opposite though. It's not controlling because my ex wanted me to dress slutty and he wants me to dress conservatively. That's totally
They're completely different.
different. So anyway, so she's not sure about how strict of a Muslim he actually is. And she may be surprised, but she says she's not going to let herself be controlled like before. So I guess we'll start there. You said she's very dumb. She's definitely being controlled like before, right?
Oh my gosh. It's like, how do you not get, just because it's not exactly the same as what you had before, does not mean it is not some form of control. She just doesn't make any sense. And like, she's someone who is really dumb because she thinks she's really smart. You know?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
And so she doesn't realize, like, she says, oh, I'm a good judge of character. It's like, based on what? You picked an ex-husband that you claim is so terrible. Does that make you a good judge of character? Because it seems like maybe not.
Right. You'd think you'd go and look at your track record and be like, have I been judging character good before? Because, it's one of those things. I don't think anybody really thinks of themselves as a bad judge of character.
Oh,
it's
sure.
like asking someone, do you have a good sense of humor? Nobody's going to say, no, my sense of humor sucks. I have none of it. It does. Like everybody's going to say they have a good sense of humor. Everybody's going to say they're a good judge of character.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that's why it is devastating when people let you down, because it's not only did they let you down, but it makes you almost question yourself. Like,
oh yeah,
wow,
for sure.
I chose to trust this person and they let me down. And it makes me personally doubt myself. And I think that's what kind of adds to kind of this devastating thing that someone else did something to you. But I don't know, there's an element of, I allowed someone to do that to me. Yeah, but I feel like she doesn't have that at all.
No, No, she doesn't have that at all. Because it also seems like she also doesn't really take much responsibility. We don't know anything about this marriage. We only heard what she told us about it. Yeah. But she seems to take absolutely no responsibility for what happened to it. Right? It was all him. Yeah. She stood out as long as she could. I was thinking when she was talking about it, I was like, I bet if we asked her ex-husband what happened in this marriage, he would have a very different story about how things went down.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to make a couple of assumptions. I'm going to assume that he's a little bit older because she had mentioned something about, when he wanted her to dress slutty because he wanted a trophy wife.
Right.
And so I think to me, I envision someone who maybe is a little bit older, maybe someone who is a little bit more stuck in their ways. And I could see how she's just like, I'm just trying to live my life. And it's like, are you though? Because it seems like you're just trying to spend my money and hoe around.
Right. And I also am like very curious about this ex-husband's lawyers finding out she's married to some new 22-year-old.
I know, right? And I know it's one of those things where if you've already settled and it could be the case where she could move on and get married and he still would owe her alimony.
Yeah. Well, he certainly owes her child support no matter what.
Oh, sure. But I mean, I also find that kind of disgusting when people like take that child support situation and like try to get as much of it so they could live off of it. It's like, I get that there's some element of you need to shelter your children, but to fund your own lifestyle, I don't think is part of the child support deal.
Yeah. And there's part of it is like, I do understand child support being different things because you want your children, you need the children to be able to still have a same type of as a lifestyle, but they need to live in a neighborhood where they can go to the same kind of school, right? They need to like things like that tend to cost money. But yes, I know what you're talking about. I need more child support because I need a new car. And it's like that. Yeah.
Or no, I need more watches and shoes.
Yeah, I need a new dress. So you should give me more child support. Yeah, exactly. Right. That is not supporting your child.
No. So other things that I don't understand about Tigerlily is why the hell does she have a life coach if she's just going to ignore her life coach?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
What is her purpose?
What is the point of a life coach to just be like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to do what I want. Like, the baby voice is incredibly grating. Her baby voice is just, and it doesn't sound natural. It sounds put on. Right.
And I just don't understand this woman, like, how you don't know anything about your future husband and you don't seem to care.
The most basic things. How devout of a Muslim is he? How does he make money?
Has he slept with anyone else before? I don't know. It's like, okay, what do you know about him other than he's a model?
He's got some ripped abs. She knows that.
Oh my gosh.
It's just crazy things to not know. Right. And then, they always make a big deal of it, sex stuff here first, but like, has he had a relationship before? Right. And it wasn't that she was just like, oh yeah, I'm afraid to ask about that. She was like, why would I want to know that? And it's like,
well,
what?
The one thing that I could see her kind of justifying all of this is she probably equates money to power. And that's the reason why her ex-husband had all the power in the last relationship, and in this relationship, she's got all the money. So she might feel that she has more power in this relationship than she might actually have because, if she kind of thinks of, well, I'm the one holding the cards, I'm the one holding the pocketbook here. He could tell me all he wants that I got, but I can do what I want. And she might have a point if that's how she's really like kind of justifying this.
If she wants the person with the more cards and power, and again, acrimonious or relationship like is the person who wants the relationship less. It really doesn't have that much to do with money. If he's like, fine, then take your money and go, then what power does she have in the relationship?
Right. And I don't even think it's like but I think it's like what people value, right? So if you both as a couple, like both value money, then sure, the person with more money is the one who's going to have more power.
Right.
And I could see if he is using her for money that yes, she will have the power. But if he's like legit trying to have a relationship and legit trying to make her like his little housewife,
right,
then they're in trouble because, money is not going to solve your religious differences.
No, not at all. It's just, I just don't know that she has enough awareness of the world around her to understand that not everybody is motivated by money. Right. And it's just like, so I don't think what if he's not? That doesn't even enter into her head. I have more money, therefore I have what he wants. Yeah, and I can do what I want.
I think I give her a lot of credit when I say things like that because, like I said, she's not the smartest. Speaking of people who maybe are not as intelligent as others, you're like, which one?
Oh, I think I know which one. Yeah.
Let's talk about Loren and
Yeah,
Faith.
That's what I would have went with. Sure. Mm-hmm.
So we open on a drag show in Vegas, and that's where we meet Loren, 33, who lives in Vegas. He's been told that he's eccentric and has a flair for the dramatic, so it makes sense that he's a drag queen assistant, which means he helps the queens get ready and collects the money and gets the drinks. The drag queens talk about Loren's face, and it makes them feel like he's a grumpy bodyguard. He said that he had a hard time fitting in Washington State, which is his hometown, and they would call him the weird gay kid. He says that he considers himself gynosexual, which to him means that he's attracted to femininity, and it doesn't really matter the actual gender of the person. It ends up that he actually prefers transgendered women who have not had gender reassignment surgery because he likes to play with penises, and he calls them female penises. He says that the energy and smell are different, and I don't even want to go there, but I'll take your word for it, Loren.
Wait, of a female penis to a male penis? Is that what he said? The energy is different? Okay. The smell is different. Okay.
Yes. And I was like, okay. Anyways, he goes to a sex shop with his friend Esther, who he's known for 7 years, to look for a corset for his girlfriend. Esther and Loren actually were dating, but it ends up that he liked her boobs, but also wanted a penis. So they broke up and became friends. Loren says that he knew since he was 8 that transgender is what he preferred, but since his parents wanted him to live a heteronormal life, he exclusively dated cis women until a few years ago when he felt total fulfillment after dating a transgender woman. Loren has had a difficult time finding a transgender woman to marry, so he downloaded a Filipino dating app. He met Faith, who is a ladyboy. She's everything he's been looking for. Loren said he loved her on the first day because the conversation was so great. It's only been 4 months, but Loren is taking all his savings and traveling to the Philippines. At the end of their shopping trip, Loren asks Esther if she's still got this as Esther picks up the tab. And Loren tells us that, well, he's broke. He's had multiple jobs, but can't really seem to survive American prices. Loren believes that the answer would be to move to the Philippines with Faith, but he hasn't quite told her that yet. Loren can't afford to support Faith in America and is worried that she'll just want to live there. Loren is couch surfing until he leaves for the Philippines. He just stays at people's houses. Loren hopes that he'll be able to find a job in Philippines. He's never traveled anywhere by plane before. Wow. And he's also, okay, this is where you're just like, okay. He's also training to be in the Philippines. And he does this by cooking Filipino food on hot pots in the bathroom with the door closed and just kind of like, airing the essence towards him to get used to the humidity. He's eating shrimp with the shells on, and he seems to be happy with his current progress. Later, we see him traveling by motorcycle to see his boss Derek's house so that way he can help with costumes. He's acting as a dress mannequin. Loren says that Loren had shown up at his show and asked for a job, and now he can't seem to get rid of him. Loren interrupts work to video call Faith. Because of the time difference, he tries to prioritize calling her. Loren asks if they're still going to be in separate rooms when he gets there, and it's clear that Loren doesn't want to stay in separate rooms. Faith, however, wants to get to know each other first. Loren introduces Faith to his coworkers, and one of them mentions all the other women that Loren was talking to, too, which makes both Faith and Loren feel really awkward. Mm-hmm. Loren tells them that Faith is incredibly jealous. Loren doesn't think that they're exclusive, and he's actually been sleeping with other people. Loren actually doesn't believe in monogamy. He thinks that there's a lot to learn, and it can be fun to sleep with other people. Loren will have to accept that Faith doesn't want to be exclusive if it ends up coming to that. Loren is saying goodbye to Esther and entrusting her with his motorcycle. Loren is supposed to stay in the Philippines for 3 weeks. Esther then hands Loren the girlfriend test, which is a test Loren came up with that asks the most ridiculous questions to see how people would react philosophically. Things like, if you blew a bubble in space, would it pop? And
that's not a philosophical question. That has an answer.
Right. And would you ever sleep in a refrigerator? Esther calls it ridiculous. Loren has a ring for Faith, and he says that he spent $50 on it. Esther thinks it's crazy, even though it wasn't much, because she can't believe that he's doing this at all. She's worried for him and wants him to be happy, but she also doesn't want him to get hurt. They call it a leap of faith for Faith. Esther thinks that he looks like a scared little boy as she drops him off at the airport. Loren has never flown before, so he doesn't really know what he's doing when it comes to things like checking a bag. All right, so my question to you is this. Why does this man want to get married? What is it about marriage that he wants, considering he doesn't want monogamy? He has made it very clear monogamy is not the way. So why in the world do you want to be married to this person?
Because because he thinks he can make a better life for himself living in the Philippines, and that's going to be easier if they're married. Like, that's all I could think as I watched this. This show did a lot to sanitize the situation, to try to make us, this is a quirky guy who just didn't fit in at home. But at the end of the day, what we have is a man who wants to go to a third world country, find someone desperate from a extremely marginalized group, trick them into an open relationship, and then leverage that relationship to be able to move to their country and live off of them. That's fucked up.
Yeah. I just couldn't understand. I guess I could see, what you're saying about he's using this situation because he's in a pretty shitty situation back home, and so anything's got to be better than couch surfing with your friend. But I mean, at least he does have a support system in Vegas, but why is he doing any of this?
I don't know. I don't quite know where his support system came around. I know he has it, and I'm actually kind of surprised that the drag theater, if some straight dude just some cis looking straight dude just walks into the drag show and is like, I'm attracted to feminine presenting men. Can I be in your dressing room? They're like, yo, get the fuck out. What do you know? It's like that. He has, it's a weird sense of entitlement that he kind of has off. It's like, I am 100% entitled to exactly the sexual experience that I want, and I'm just going to go get it from whoever. Right. And no matter what they think about it. That just is, it's pretty disturbing to me.
When you frame it like that, I can certainly see why you're really creeped out and grossed out by him. I think I definitely thought of it more as he's quirky, but then I just didn't understand. I just don't understand why he's choosing someone that seems to be insanely jealous. I mean, we haven't personally seen it, but he said it, and she certainly had a reaction when Bonehead Friend decides to say there's so many girls, he was talking to, and then once he started talking to you, it was only you. It's like, why would you ever say that? What a dumb
weird
friend.
Thing. It is a bad friend. And I guess I don't know. I guess, it's one thing to want to give up, if you're, say successfully sleeping around, right? And, you want to have, that's it. I've had enough of this. This isn't doing it for me. I need more. I want to be married to somebody and just build a life with them. I think that's going to be more fulfilling. That makes sense. But to be but that's what I'm saying. Most of the time when you see people who want to have open relationships, especially in this show, maybe not in life, right? It's just worked around. I want to have the best of both worlds. I want to be able to, hit on all the women I want to hit on, have fun with who I want to have fun with. And at the end of the day, I have somebody who's going to clean up my shit. that isn't them. Like, and they're stuck with that. And so it seems kind of a fantasy, but I don't know why this guy particularly wants it. If you're I don't believe in monogamy, but I want to be married. And I'm like, I don't know how those are, like you said, how that's congruous.
Right. And I also don't know why he thinks that he is such a catch and that he's like got such a winning personality that he's just gonna, win her over immediately. And she's gonna be like, no, please don't go back after these 3 weeks. Just stay here forever. Like, that's pretty presumptuous of him.
I mean, that's kind of what that seems like it's kind of what the drag theater happened to him. Of course, I think they're more like, this guy's working for free. Yeah. Don't get rid of him. We don't even have to pay for him to live anywhere. Just keep him around.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the other thing. Well, he said he had like 3 different jobs, so.
Yeah, but none of them literally pay him enough to have a home. He's literally homeless.
Yeah, that's nuts. He had a at least well-kept motorcycle.
Yes, the scooter, which is like, I guess that's fine. I guess you can get by with a scooter in Vegas. I was like, here, I don't know what that would work.
Oh, are you kidding? I would feel the opposite because it's so hot there.
Too hot.
You don't want to be open air riding motorcycle. Oh gosh.
Yeah, but I'm
awful.
like, my homelessness thought is if you have a car or a van, you can live in it.
Yeah,
you can't live on your scooter.
Yeah, it's time for an upgrade, Loren. Come on now.
All right, so speaking of other hot places people live, let's talk about Rayne and Chidi. So we start off in Espanola, New Mexico, where Rayne, even though I really thought it was Rayne every time I saw it spelled, but everybody said Rayne, so I'm going with that, is taking care of her chickens. So she lives on a farm where she says she has literally hundreds of animals. Like she lists them all off. There's chickens, there's dogs, there's ducks, there's cats, there's everything. She makes it a point to have a personal relationship, though, with each and every one of her chickens. So she has 2 kids. They're 8 and 16, and they more or less live a peaceful life with which she thinks is a quirky weirdo mother. So she says she's never been married, and the relationship she's had with each of her baby daddies is what she calls toxic. So she says she's never been in a relationship that has anything like lovey-dovey pet names or, affection. And so none of that stuff. Well, until now, because now she's dating Chidi, who is from Nigeria. So we hear some lovey-dovey stuff from him on text message. And with 2 weeks, she said, after they started talking within 2 weeks, they were saying, I love you to each other. So they've been virtually connected for 5 years now. And she still hasn't gone to Nigeria. And she can't wait to go to be, what she says, physically connected to him. So we then switch over to Lagos, where Chidi, who's 32, is playing soccer. And he's playing with a blindfold on because him and the other players are playing not just regular soccer, but blind people soccer. And that's how we find out that he is blind. So they all have to wear, because they're all different levels of visual impairment. So they all wear these big blindfolds so that everybody's on an even playing field. So he says he wasn't born blind, but had like this double freak accident where he got hit with an apple, and that made him blind in one eye. And then he was so off kilter and dizzy from having to deal with that vision going out that he tripped and fell and hit his other eye on a table, and now he's blind in both eyes. So
sad. Like everything about that was just so tragic.
Yeah, it was wild. So he says it's as if the whole world had come to an end for him at the time. But he describes it as like what he sees is like a thick cloud before his eyes, maybe some sparks of light. He can see things, but he not anywhere near enough to be able to navigate the world with his sight. So then he talks about how hard it is to get around as a visually impaired person in Lagos, where the infrastructure is not very friendly for disabled people at all. So we see him reading a Braille Bible, which is how we find out that that's about his strong Christian faith. So he feels that God has answered his prayers with Rayne. So he didn't let her know that he was blind, like so for a long time in the pictures. And that's also why he didn't know for a long time that he was dating a white woman.
So funny to me.
But she found out he was blind because she kept sending him like increasingly risque pictures that he never said anything about. And then she was eventually like, dude, I'm sending you like tit pics butt and you're shots. Not doing anything, butt shots. And he's like, yeah, so about that. So anyway, what she felt like she was even like more thrilled because she felt more accepted for him because she knows that it wasn't like he fell for her looks, right? She fell for him. He fell for her as a person. So he's worried though that his blindness and, his lifestyle is going to be too much for her to bear when they meet in person. So we see him praying a lot. There's a lot of praying from Chidi. So we next see her. She's on her way out to I guess it's kind of like a storage wars type thing where she's going to clean out a storage unit and try to sell some stuff out of it because her mom owns the rental place, the storage rental. So she does it for a bit of extra cash. And when she gets there, her mom, Lynn, and some family friends, Debbie and Jeanette, are also there. They know about Chidi, but don't really seem to be all in on this relationship and can't believe that she's going to Nigeria. So Renee tells them that she's 100% excited, 0% nervous. It's all good things, all great. She says she wasn't looking for a blind man, but she feels like this might be a winner because she's always been self-conscious about her looks. She doesn't want to come out of the shower naked in front of even her partners. She's like, if we're going to do it, the lights are going to be off. And now she doesn't have to worry about that. He's not going to see her. Let's go good. So Debbie thinks that I don't think it's going to be that easy. Did you do any kind of research about the live visually impaired people have to lead? And maybe he won't appreciate it even if he can't see that she's just naked all the time everywhere. So Lynn thinks that Renee is not being realistic about the relationship and is going to end up getting angry and getting hurt. So they also ask her about the cultural differences. Renee says, and this is where things go way out of left field, that they have the same God, but she's not exactly a Christian because she believes in aliens and the Illuminati.
Oh, goodness.
Believes that people like Chidi aren't really with God, but she's going to be able to show him the truth. Her mom is like, you're going to have to respect his religion. He's going to want you to go to church every Sunday. And she's like, no, he won't. No, because I'm going to tell him. And when I tell him, then he will, I will fully wake him up. And so he'll do what I say because obviously my religion is right.
Oh, my gosh.
And then she even uses the word woke completely unironically. She's like, I didn't think so before I was woke. So the friends think that Renee is way too stubborn to have a successful future with someone that doesn't already agree with her. So back in Nigeria, Chidi is praying again and getting things ready for Renee to get there. He lives with his sister and her husband, and they put him up for free and pretty much provide for him because he doesn't work. I don't know that he can work. I don't know if there's much places for him to get a job there. So he says that when he told them about Renee coming, they were surprised and excited. So he says she's very sexy, but he's a strict Christian. And since he's been born again, he made a vow of celibacy for before marriage. So he not only will he not be having sex with Renee, but they're also going to be staying in separate bedrooms. So he hopes that she's going to understand his commitment to God. So his sister says she's excited and they're going to make things as comfortable as possible. So Renee his sister has never had an American in the house before. So that's a lot for her. She's like, there's going to be an American in my house. So Chidi tells his sister that his main desire is to settle down with Renee, but still needs some more time. He's not going to propose on day one. They need some time together first. So he's concerned about a few things from her character. See, one thing he says is that she doesn't really have a filter when she speaks. That could be problematic. And she's also, and I'll put this in quotes, highly temperamental. So he said they've been through some fights, some real fights, and he can't really continue to deal if that's how she's going to act every time she's upset or insecure. So Victoria, his sister, tells him, try your best though, because I kind of feel like the sister's like, that'd be cool if you would move out with your wife. That would be easier on me. That sounds great to me. All right. So I guess which is the things does she not understand more? The difficulties of being visually impaired or the realities of him being a hardcore Christian?
She's just delusional. I think all around, absolutely delusional. And part of her delusion, makes me feel really bad for her because things like, you know, her feeling that she's such an unattractive person. Like, to be honest, I thought she looked kind of like a Winona Ryder type, you know? Like, she's got the big brown eyes.
Big
like,
eyes, sure.
People are going to find her attractive.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like the most, you know, stereotypically or typically, you know, attractive like features, but there's definitely people who would find her attractive. 100%. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, the thing that then this is the part where I'm like, she's delusional. She thinks it's her looks that are turning people off. No, her weird ass religion and her thought that she can convert everyone is what's turning everyone off.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's that, and like, yeah, just some of the weird stuff she says and goes about, and is like, I'm friends with my chickens, and it's like, are we friends with our chickens? Like,
I'm pretty sure they want to peck your eyes out if given the opportunity.
I'm pretty sure I would eat it. So, like,
yeah. So
sure
I don't
are
know.
Our friends.
I just think it's really interesting that it's like she's living on another planet, like upstairs. You know, it's like. Mm-hmm. She just does not seem very grounded. I agree with her friends and family. Like, she's too stubborn to really have a relationship with someone outside of like her values and already believes what she believes in, because it was ridiculous and wild how she's like, no, I'll just tell him how it is and he'll believe me. Like, it's just that's such a self-centered, like, weird, like, because you think you'd have a little bit of empathy and put yourself in his shoes and be like, well, let me switch it around. If he made a really convincing case for Christianity for me, would I convert? And she was like, oh, no, absolutely not. There's no convincing case for Christianity. And I got news for her. He thinks the same thing about the aliens and the Illuminati. Like, he's not going to be... He's heard it. Like, whatever you're going to say, he's probably heard it. Yeah, but I think that's kind of tough, too, because sometimes people, like, are just so convinced, right? Like, without a shadow of doubt that it's like, well, it seems so obvious. How does everyone else not feel the same way? And it's
that is true. I mean, and you do see that from a lot of Christians who are like, oh, they just must not have been introduced to the Bible before. And it's like, no, dude, I've read the Bible. Like, what do you say? Like,
but there's a lot of things in there that are like maybe not the most believable things.
Yeah, I just I've seen it. I know of it. Yeah, but you must not know it. And I was like, I'm pretty familiar with it. Like, yeah, people just but they're like, but people have a hard time understanding. Well, if they saw the same things I saw, there's no other conclusion they could come to, and that's never true ever on any subjects.
Yeah, and I just feel so bad for Chidi because it's like, I like this guy and I don't want him to be like subjected to her.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed fine. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything we saw about him that's really like a big flaw.
Yeah, the reason why I like him is because, well, first of all, blind soccer, pretty cool sport. The fact that he's like positive about like these kind of terrible things that happened to him, like, just coincidentally, like, he's just had bad luck, like all of that is, and he's staying pretty positive. The fact that he's still active, and trying to get out and about, he's trying to date online, he's just trying to live his best life, and I super appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to find out there were some dark times, like soon after the accidents or whatever that it had. And it does legit sound like Christianity is what turned his life around and kind of helped him get this positive outlook on what's going on. But like, it's still like, we still got secrets. We still got keeping away.
Oh, gosh.
Like, it's like, yeah, why are we doing that? You've been there for you've been talking for 5 years and it hasn't come up that like, yeah, we have to be married before we do it. That seems pretty suspicious or wild.
Right. Speaking of wild, let's talk about Brian and Ingrid. So Brian, he's 51 from Harvard, Illinois, and he's driving for Uber. He says that it's always a party because his passengers love talking to him. He loves people and hearing their stories. And this is a great job for him because he's a quadriplegic. He says that he struggled when he was a kid living in the inner city of Chicago. He got married at 19 and had a daughter very young. He was divorced in 3 years. In his mid-20s, some guys try to carjack him, and Brian thought that he could get away, which resulted in him being shot and paralyzed from the chest down. His hands also aren't working the same, which is why he's a quadriplegic. He can feel in his arms, but his hands don't really grip the same. He can move his legs, but not enough to walk. It takes Brian about an hour to get ready in the morning. He remains active with wheelchair rugby. He made the USA team and got to travel to 10 countries. Things changed when he traveled to Brazil because he loved the country and ended up coaching there, which is how he became fluent in Portuguese. Brian had a much easier time in Brazil because women seemed to be much more open to his disabilities. He then met Ingrid, who is a 32-year-old single mom. Brian admits he chose the wrong women in the past, but Ingrid is different. They've been talking every day for 2 years, and he's excited to see Ingrid for the first time. Ingrid doesn't know the details of his disabilities, like bathroom stuff and sex stuff. She also doesn't know much about his past, and he wonders if everything will be too much for her. Brian thinks that the biggest challenge has been gaining independence, and things like outfitting his car for $1,000 has done a lot to help him be independent. Brian is at rugby practice, where he's hoping to get his nervous energy out. Brian thinks rugby puts you back into normalcy. It's pretty rough as they ram into each other, and Brian says he was scared to play in the first place. Brian is talking to everyone about sex, and he says that some men get an erection, but Viagra can help. He says that ejaculation isn't worth it, as you can get spasms, headaches, or possibly an aneurysm. Sex isn't always straightforward, and he just hopes that there's positive situations. Brian doesn't think Ingrid has really shared with other people about him. He thinks her mom knows. We get a flashback of him asking her if she's ashamed of him, and she insists that she's not. Brian is packing up, and he's brought some gifts for her sons. Brian is heading to Tocantins, but he's worried about how remote it is because of the lack of roads or paved sidewalks. He thinks it'll make wheelchair use a challenge. Brian's daughter, Brianna, is taking him to the airport. Brianna wonders if he's tired of going back to Brazil to just do this all over again. And then we hear about Brian's relationship history, which includes 4 failed marriages. One of those was with a Brazilian woman, several relationships, and some engagements, all from women in Brazil. So Brianna just thinks that this is another disaster waiting to happen. Brian, on the other hand, thinks that this is different. Brianna asks why she's the one. And Brian says that Ingrid's never asked him for money, and she has kids, and that means life experience. Brianna double checks if he's got a ring and, says, "You're not going to propose, are you?" And Brian says that he doesn't have a ring, but he doesn't want to promise or guarantee that he won't propose. Brianna says that Brian going to Brazil has become the butt of a family joke because he moves fast and falls hard. Ingrid is only 2 years older than her, so she just doesn't want Ingrid to be using him to give her sons a better life. They both cry as Brian asks Brianna to trust him. Brian says that she has to be the one because he's just tired of searching. He then tells us that the carjacking was not a completely random event, and he has to tell her the whole story. He teases more, but the story kind of stops there. All right, so Brian has done this before, so
a few times, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like. So are you with Brianna here, where it's just like, there goes Dad doing same old?
It's hard not to be, isn't it? Like, and this is the guy who I feel like just my first impression is he seems like a fun guy. Like he seems like somebody I could, of all the people to have a beer with in this episode, this guy seems like the guy to do it.
Yeah,
but the 4 failed marriages, failed engagements, just kind of makes me think that he's just going to end up being a huge asshole.
Yes.
In the relationship.
I definitely got that impression too, because it's like, at what point do you, sure, you fall hard, you fall fast, but you're picking the wrong people. And at one point, just statistics wise, one of them's got to be a decent person. It's not just you picking the worst of the worst. And
right.
So it's kind of like, I do kind of think it's this guy. And I can just totally see this being the person who surprises us the most. Because it's always like the ones that are like kind of likable. And you're like, I like this guy. And then they turn around and they're like the biggest asshole. And you just got to walk it back and be like, oh, gosh, I didn't see that coming.
We've seen it before. Like,
what a garbage person they become, even though like on the first episode, you're like, oh, I like this person.
Oh, what a quirky fun guy. It's the Ed cut, basically.
Right.
Like, I feel like Ed is your prototypical one like that.
I don't think we ever liked him from day one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we thought he was corny and like silly, whatever, but had a good heart. And then we're like, no, that heart is rotten to the bottom. Nope.
Yes, that is true. But I also think there is a little bit of, I don't want to say appreciation, but empathy for the challenges in people's lives. And I do think that does kind of make us feel, I don't want to say feel sorry for them, but it does give them the benefit of the doubt, like at the beginning. And I feel like that was Ed for us, right?
Sure.
I feel like we didn't out the gate start hating Ed. I think we had some empathy for, the fact that he felt like he was bullied and had a hard time in life and people were always making fun of him. And so, you kind of appreciate the challenges that the person's gone through and it makes you like them a little bit more. And I feel like there's a lot of people on this show in this particular episode where I don't know. I don't want to say they're trying to like victimize people, but there's a lot of interesting stories where it's like, or representation, I guess, if you want to think of it that way, right? Where we haven't seen this kind of person.
We very rarely have seen like disabled people on the show. And I do feel like that in general in society and entertainment is a largely underrepresented group is people with disabilities.
Sure. So yeah, we have that, but we also have, transgender person. This is, I guess we had that one, but he was so bad.
No, we had the one from Florida.
Oh, and yes. Although I will say, spoiler alert, we haven't done a rumor roundup in a long time. They're getting divorced.
I knew
Isabel
that.
And I cannot remember his name. No, I was thinking of Cleo. Cleo and her. She was fine,
right, but she was fine. He was the
awful.
asshole.
I hated that guy. Whatever
Gabriel,
that guy's name.
That was his name, Gabe.
Well, Gabe. Yeah, Gabe and Isabel. And then Cleo and then whoever her dude was. I hated that guy. Yeah, I guess we have had other transgender people.
Well,
but
Cleo was another person with a disability because Cleo was autistic.
Yeah. But I think also what I think is different about this transgender situation or relationship is that Loren actively wants to be with them, right? I feel like in the other transgender relationships, it was kind of like they fell in love with the person and it just like, just so happened that they were transgender.
Yes, that's true. And that's another part that it always disturbed me out when it was like when they have the idea that they might be fetishizing people and not into them. It's like I've always like kind of been like, especially was like, I really wanted to date a Filipino woman. It's like, God. Did we?
Yeah. Filipino and transgender. It's like, God.
Now we have, I really wanted to find a Filipino transgender. It's like, I feel like that's not a strong, to pick out someone's gender identity and like nationality specifically is not the best. Not the most auspicious start.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know why I get weird vibes from Brian, but
no, I definitely kind of agree. And I don't know if it was an editor or anything. I mean, I think Brian is doing his damnedest to come across as a
friendly.
And he might be like I don't know if I feel like we've all met people who, with you're friends with them, they're great. He plays a sport with people. Obviously, he's well respected on the playing field. And it's just great. But when you're in a relationship with them, it's like, but in relationships, they're terrible. Like,
I could see him being the kind of person who makes a great first impression, which is why Uber driving is great for him.
Oh, I think he's extremely charismatic. Yeah. Like he's great. He seems like the Uber driver stuff we saw him. Like he really is.
Yeah, but yes, I can agree. Maybe he's not the best at relationships.
Right. And I guess we'll find out if he's just bad at picking them or if he is driving them into the ditch.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know. All right. So I know we have more than this. We're just starting.
I think we have at least 2 more, maybe 3 more.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so out of the group you saw this week, who was your student of the week? Your most likely person?
I'll take Chidi. Just seemed, I mean, because but then the Brian, we didn't really meet Ingrid, right? We didn't see much out of Faith, or like he's the only I think Chidi's really the only person in the foreign country that we really saw much out of.
Yeah,
and just I don't know, he seemed like the most genuine person, I would say.
Yes, I agree. I thought it was so cute when he just ignored the text messages of the pictures.
Yeah, the pictures.
And didn't pretend like, oh yeah, I saw that picture. It's like, did you though?
It is hard to pretend because it was like, maybe it was a picture of one of her chickens. I don't know. You don't want to be like, oh, baby, that's hot. And you're like, that was a chicken.
Actually, that's really funny. So when I was dating, random people on the internet back in the day, I would always give them my Google Voice number because I wanted to keep, separate lives kind of situation. And Google Voice at the time did not do well with picture attachments. And so every once in a while, I would get a picture attachment and I'd be like, what's that a picture of? And I have to play it off, because I couldn't see it. And so they would be like, oh, it's a picture of this. And they I know they thought it was weird that I would ask them and they were probably like, what's up with this? But I guess I could have also played the blind card. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you could. I feel like the way, but I don't know if you would get to it though, is you could have been like, oh, where did you take that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would be like, oh yeah, great picture. Thanks. I have no idea. Who knows? I could have been getting dick pics this whole time. I'd have never known.
I'm imagining you just getting a dick pic and sending back cute.
Yeah. Thumbs up. All right. Yeah. So like I said, I also went with Chidi. What about your dunce?
I went with Loren. He just creeps me out. His entire situation creeps me out. The way he goes about everything. I just don't get a good vibe from the guy.
Yeah. I went with Tigerlily. I mean,
sure.
Really, how could you be dumber? The fact that you're not seeing after being super hyper aware of controlling behavior. And it's like, how could you not see the controlling behavior that's in front of you? Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's very ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. What about your life lesson?
So mine goes, this kind of is directed at Tigerlily, but I feel like we see this from a lot of people already. So when you're choosing your partners for the future, it's important to actually assess and react and consider what your lives are going to look like together. And not just be like, they're hot and I want to be with them. So but I'm in love with them, but I want them now. What are you going to look? Because Tigerlily had absolutely no idea. Right. So you're going to be married. Are you going to be able to go out? I don't know. Are you going to be able to do this? I don't know. What is that going to look like when you're married? Oh, my
goodness. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we're going to have a lot of life lessons for Tigerlily this season because she is so dumb. But my life lesson also for her, if you are, have something that you are deciding in your life, right? So in her case, she decided that she never wanted to get married again, right? You should really think about the situation before anyone else comes along. Would I really be willing to compromise on this or not? Think about the scenarios where you would or not before you go ahead changing your mind, because this is how you get yourself in these situations where, your previous smarter self who wasn't emotionally compromised was trying to make better decisions for you.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, she's her. She would discard those decisions immediately.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, other people at least can learn from her,
Sure.
Short-sighted, maybe poor decisions.
Right.
All right. So we're just getting started with this group. It's actually kind of interesting. Nothing too boring going on here.
No, I mean, we tend to find as the show is going on, I think especially with Before the 90,
yes,
is
they're more dramatic for sure.
They're more dramatic. They definitely are just what's up with you? There needs to be more than just oh, I just met this person in Brazil and I'm going to meet them for the first time. And it's feel like as the show's going on, it's been like, and he'd be like,
yeah.
And they're blind, sold. Got it. Now you're on. Like,
well, because I feel like they have so many people to choose from, I would think. Because this would be an easier way to cast.
This isn't even, you don't even have to have people who are doing the 90-day visa thing. It's just like, hey, I think I might go to another country to meet up with someone I've been talking to online. It's like, there's a lot more of those for sure.
Right. So a lot more options to choose from for sure. All right. Well, we will be back around this time next week. And so until then.
Yeah. See everybody then.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye.